Hi, I'm Ananya. I'm a junior content manager with Trip 101. Today we are meeting Jaren, who's going to share with us about his trip to Georgia, Tbilisi. So, Jaren, we're here for our travel talk series with you, where we are trying to help first-time travelers plan their trips better. So, welcome to the series, and we'd like to know more about you. Please tell us who you are, where you're from, and all about your travel journey.
All right, sure. But this sounds like a job interview. Okay, so basically just a quick introduction. So my name is Jaren. I'm actually the founder of like the guytravel.com. It's a travel blog that I came up with that promotes traveling to exotic destinations in particular. And I also focus a lot on traveling on the budget. All right. So during back home, I always believe that no one can see the world even on a shoestring budget. Yeah. Mm. Perhaps let me share just a quick picture of my blog. So I guess you can see the picture over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, So,
Is
so,
that
so, so basically, so this is like my travel blog where I always tell people, you have to get out of your comfort zone and to learn about other people's lifestyle and respect their culture because the world is so wide out there. Yeah.
is that you in the desert?
Yeah, that is basically me in the desert that is taken in Sahara Desert back in Morocco. Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fully covered, and I'm the only one in the whole of the desert because I went during the off-peak period. So there was basically no one, no travelers except me alone in the desert. Yeah,
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of the movie Dune a little bit when
exactly.
shot
Yes.
in the desert. Yeah. Yeah. So you travel quite frequently. Like, how many times in a year are you out and about?
I do not really measure like how many times a year I travel, but maybe my travel pattern also changed, before COVID and after COVID, it differs as well. So if you're talking about before COVID, I used to travel probably like once a month in the past. But after the COVID right now, as things become returns back to normal, I started my traveling just late last year. Yeah. So right
Okay.
now, probably I traveling maybe every 2 months I travel once, stuff like that. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So do you have like a checklist of countries and destinations that you want to visit?
Yes, yes. Many people ask me, do I have a bucket list or stuff like that? I do not really have a bucket list in a way because I think I want to go to everywhere in the world as well, like 193 countries in the whole world, right? So
Yeah.
I want to step on every country if possible, of course. But if you talk about bucket list, I do not have, but maybe there are to do places or to go places in within the next 1 year or 2 years. Yes, I do have as well. Yeah, so basically so my thoughts is that when I do up this travel blog, I actually wanted to tell the people out there that no, you do not need to be rich in order to travel. So long as you put travel as your priority, you save up during your back home and you can see the world, on a shoestring budget. Yeah. So maybe you can see in the picture right here, not a lot of countries, but so far I have traveled to these various countries across the 5 continents to exotic places like Ethiopia, Israel, Jordan, Mexico, Macedonia. So I think there are more places to discover around the world.
Wow, 53 countries is quite a lot. So how many years of traveling is it to cover all of these destinations?
Because I traveled since young as well, because I was fortunate to have a mom who loved to travel. So I got the influence from her. So basically, I would say maybe, but it's only the last 10 years that I actually begin to travel on a serious note. So probably in the last 10 years, I visited most of these 53 countries.
Oh, nice.
Mm-mm.
And and when you travel, is it usually like, are you on your own or do you travel with like friends or uh, family or group?
Okay, so this question is rather mixed answer from my side. So I do travel with friends, with family, but at the same time, I also prefer to travel solo. So what I do is I travel with my ex-colleagues or I travel with people from my industry that I work in. Sometimes I also travel on a mutual or partner or collaboration basis that I was invited by the tourism board or the hotels with some other bloggers or influencers. So I travel in a group as well. But so don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy companion and I love to travel with a group. But at the same time, I also treasure the me time. So I make it a pet to myself that, hey, I like to travel at least once a year solo trip so that I can actually discover more of myself and, to connect with my inner soul as well.
So when you're traveling alone, that's when you like explore and
That's
meditate
right.
on travel. And
That's
when
right.
you're in a group, of course, you have more fun, but you can't do all of these quiet things that travel can also inspire you to do, right?
Yeah, just as what you mentioned as well. So there are pros and cons. I mean, there are pros and cons in everything, right? So as if we travel in a group, the good part is at least you have someone who are able to take care of you as well. And the other good side is that you're able to share the food because if you travel solo, you dine alone. There's only so much food that you can consume, right? But if you travel in a group, you can try each other food and there are more varieties to try from. And there's someone taking care of you in a sense that, um, people can take care of your bags when you go to the washroom for a quick one or anything like that. But when you're traveling solo, everything depends on yourself, and that is actually a challenge at times, depending on the countries that you go to. So it can be good, rewarding experience as well when you travel solo. In fact, right, a lot of people find very, I mean, how to put it, afraid to travel solo in the first time, right? So my advice to the people out there is that, hey, no, you have to travel solo at least once and you have to try it. Once you try it, you actually know, the beauty or the love of traveling alone as well. Because as you travel alone, you get to meet a lot of other travelers. And in fact, when you travel alone, the travelers will actually reach out to you because other people sees you as one person, so and they are more likely to have a quick chat with you, and you're able to make more friends along the way as well. That is the perks of traveling solo. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
both
So,
the
so,
both the
so
type.
this is a picture of me as well when I travel solo. I took pictures and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow. So which one was it for you when you went to Georgia? Was it a solo trip or did you go with a group?
It was a solo trip that I went to Georgia. So when my friends around me know that I about to go to Georgia, because I posted like my photos on my IG stories and there were comments like, hey, why you didn't invite me along, stuff like that. Yeah, so people were actually wanted to go to Georgia as well from my comments that I received. It's only that I think what deters them is that they cannot find a suitable or a travel partner who likes to explore such countries.
Hmm.
So when I posted my pictures and they say, hey, I also want to go, kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you decide on Georgia? Like it's a little bit of an offbeat location in Europe, definitely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so I love to go to off the beaten track destinations, right? And I like to explore places that people do not really explore that much because I always feel that the world is so big out there. You got to go to places that are so much or there are many other beautiful areas, not just the popular ones. So for example, right, usually when we talk about countries, I mean, maybe in Asia context, you are referring to more of going to Japan as a holiday destination. Yes, Japan is good. Don't I mean I love to go Japan as well, in fact. But the issue in Japan maybe right now is there is a lot of crowd. There's a lot of people going there. So, why not go to elsewhere that is equally beautiful? So there were people who told me, Japan, the Mount Fuji is very nice, is stuff like that. Yes, actually I went to Mount Fuji myself as well. It is nice, but I felt that it's a bit kind of overrated when it comes to Mount Fuji because there's a lot of foreigners or tourists trying to take a photo with Mount Fuji as the backdrop, so you have to snatch some photo opportunities, stuff like that. So I always think, the world is so big out there, so just explore, dream, discover. In fact, right now, if I show you this picture is actually taken in Armenia, which is just right beside Georgia. I actually went on same trip. So this picture actually to me, looks more or less like Mount Fuji as well. But the perks is that there are no people snatching photo opportunity with you. So So I think this is a good picture to show that, there are also very nice destinations around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, if you would have asked me to guess from this picture, I would have said Mount Fuji, except the flag is there, so that would
Yeah,
confuse.
the flag is there. Yeah, but then I mean in terms of the shape of the mountain, it looks like Mount Fuji, with its nature beauty surrounding it. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. And it makes quite a lot of sense since you said that, especially on your solo travels, you are in that exploratory mode and you want to be quiet and you want to reflect inwards. So it makes sense that you would choose a destination that's, quieter or not many people are exploring it
Yes,
as of right
that's right.
now. So that's great. So when did you travel to Georgia?
I traveled to Georgia at the end of the May period. So I actually, at the end of May period, it's actually, when it comes to Georgia, it's actually the start of their summer season, right? So in a way, it's the end of spring where temperatures are rising, but it is still having a cooling climate because, as you know, Georgia is a it's a four-season country that is very near to Russia. So these countries actually have very harsh winter conditions. So it's not recommended to travel during the harsh winter conditions. So I choose to travel in the end of May period. So actually, so this is to avoid the winter, but yet I can enjoy the cooler climate because it's the end of spring. And then I can also enjoy a longer daylight hours because it's coming to the summer season in Georgia when it comes to May. So actually the best time, if you ask me, I will often tell people is to travel during the shoulder season, or what you call it, the so-called the off-peak period, but just before the peak period as well. All right. Why is that so? It's because one can see the best of that country, what they could offer. Yet at the same time, you can enjoy the smaller crowd of foreigners, and you can also able to enjoy cheaper hotel rates, or even be it accommodation, be it the tour options, be it the land transportations, it might be cheaper as compared during the peak season. Our, so I always felt that we have to travel in a smarter way, yet in a cost-efficient way as well. So, yep, so I traveled during the end of May in Georgia.
So the peak season in Georgia starts later, like around June or so.
Yes, in fact, the peak season start is in July and August because that is the summer season where a lot of Europeans they having their summer season holidays break. So the schools are closed back in the summer period in Europe. So there's a lot of Europeans travel to these destinations.
Okay, so end of May when you went is the shoulder, just before,
Yes, just
yeah.
before June, July is coming to the peak season.
Okay. So it was, from your point of view, it was a good time to visit Georgia.
Yes, in fact, when I visit Georgia, I actually have it to visit the other surrounding countries. So I visit Armenia and Azerbaijan together with Georgia. So the total length of my trip was actually like around 10 to 9 days when I visit these countries as a whole. Mhm.
Okay, nice. So,
Yep, so you can see in this picture as well. Yeah, I visit these countries together. Mhm.
okay, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan.
That's right.
Okay. So of these 9 or 10 days that you said, how many did you spend in Georgia?
Mhm. So out of these 9 days, I spent the most time in Georgia, all right, because Georgia is very beautiful country as a standalone country. But of course, don't get me wrong, Armenia and Azerbaijan is equally beautiful, all right. But I decided to spend more days of my trip in Georgia because I love the nature, and this is what Georgia is able to offer with the mountains over there. Mhm.
Okay. So maybe Armenia and Azerbaijan are topics for another conversation. Today we'll
Yep,
focus
yep.
on Georgia. So the 3 days that you spent in Georgia, you were all 3 days you were in the capital city, right? Tbilisi.
Yes. I was in Tbilisi, but I was there like for around 5 days, sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
five
5 days.
days.
5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh-huh. So maybe you can walk us through like the 5 days of your trip in Tbilisi and what all you did and where you went, where you sort of had your meals.
Okay, sure. So Tbilisi, as we know, is the capital of Georgia itself. So Georgia actually very I mean, not an interesting fact, but it's a fact that Georgia actually gained their independence in year 1991 from Russia. So it was used to be under the Soviet Union control, the Russia control. So in fact, the heart of downtown in Tbilisi is we call it the Freedom Square. If you could see in my picture, the Freedom Square is actually, so this is an area where it's the main square where they actually does, if there's any major events, it will usually happens in this Freedom Square. So when I was in Georgia at this time of the picture that was taken, so you could see army tanks and stuff like that. So it was actually they're actually preparing for their National Day. Their National Day is one day later when I took this picture. So they actually celebrate like major events at this Freedom Square.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask if there was a parade happening because that's what, like back in India also, like around our Republic Day, if we're in the city center of Delhi, this is how it looks
Mhm.
like with, yeah.
Yes. So I think it happens to most countries, just like in Singapore or in India, they close the major center road. So this is the center point. As you can see in the picture, this was taken during the actual day of the National Day. 26th of May is their National Day. So they gained independence. That was the day. So actually they celebrate it, and there was a lot of fanfare, a lot of events happening along the whole stretch of road was closed for this event. Yeah. You could see I was very fortunate. I actually finished my tour of the day in the daytime. Then when I arrived back to the capital, I happened to catch a glimpse of their performance. So this is actually one of their performance showing the Georgian dance and culture segment.
Oh, okay. So when you
Yeah.
were planning your trip, did you know about that National Day falling during your trip?
No,
Oh,
no.
it
So
was a
it was
chance
just
and
pure
come.
coincidence that, when I was there, then I realized that the roads are closed, right? So I happened to ask people, what is happening, because in fact, when I saw the road closed, I was a little bit afraid, frightened. Why is that so? Because if you see, I show you in the next picture, when I actually post this on my Instagram, I put safe for tourists. So what happens is just 3 weeks before I go to Georgia, Tbilisi, there were riots in Tbilisi, in the capital itself. And that was the place where they have the riots and the protesters. But the thing that I want to say is that, when I was planning for my trip to Georgia just 2 or 3 weeks before and this happened, so it does frightens me a bit. So when I saw the road closed, I was thinking to myself, is there any demonstration? Is there any protest that is going on or what is happening? But it was a good thing because they are actually celebrating a national day. So it was a good thing. It was not for a negative or bad thing. In fact, when I was there on the road, I saw a lot of posters that says that, oh, we are Europe. And I saw some protesters that they left their traces over there. You know, so they have some flags over there and they actually do some gravity to say that they belongs to Europe, stuff like that. So I always felt that, so the gist of my message is that, what we read across the media, it might be one thing, but you have to go there to actually see it for yourself. It is very safe. I feel very safe when I was in Georgia all my time. So I think it is good that, we get to see the real thing, not just listen to the media, because I also understand it's the media job to actually do their job to actually heighten up the awareness of a particular event or stuff like that. But actually, it is very safe in anywhere or in most parts of the world, I would say. Yeah.
That's a really nice sentiment that you express that, like when you read in the news, it tends to be a little bit one dimensional. And then when you go in the place, there is so much more to it. And, like the experience can be so different from what you might have covered on the news. Of course, safety is a concern and everyone has to be aware about where they're landing up. But yeah,
Mm,
the news can also tend to get a
yes.
little bit one dimensional. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So so then
So,
during your
so
trip, like when you
yeah.
realized that
Mm.
it was a celebratory sort of, road closure,
Yeah, correct, correct.
it would
I
have
mean,
been such a
it's for a positive thing, right? So I said, oh, then maybe I can join the celebration as I was telling them. I mean, I was telling the locals, and they say that sure, and they invite me to their parties because they do have parties at their homes as well during the National Day, and they're asking me to, join them for parties, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially since like the freedom has come so recently to them and they're still asserting their identity. I'm sure it's like a really big event for
Mm,
them to celebrate. Yeah.
yes, yes.
So
Yeah, I
you
think it's
could
for
be
the
a part
pride
of
as
it.
well, especially. Yeah, yeah. So I have this as my next picture, if you could see. This is actually showing this is another popular tourist attraction, I would say, in Tbilisi. So this is actually called the Mother of Georgia. So they have the symbol of the city. So this Mother of Georgia is located right at the top of the hilltop in Georgia. I mean, in the heart of Tbilisi mountain itself. So it overlooks the city of Tbilisi. This where it actually symbolizes Georgia as a country also. So it adds value to the country and stuff like that. Yeah.
This is
So,
the one that
not
you found
far.
on your
Yeah, yeah.
Instagram.
This is the one. This is the one that I took from the base, right? But if you could, but if you are in the downtown in Tbilisi, anywhere or most of the places in Tbilisi, you could actually identify this Mother of Georgia, the statue. Yeah.
It's visible from all over the city.
Yes, I would say it's quite visible from all over in the city itself because it's
Uh,
right at the top of the hill in the
uh,
capital. Mhm.
so you visited the statue on your first day itself, or is this from the next day?
Okay, so upon arrival, I actually arrived into Georgia early in the morning at 10 a.m. And then I check in, put down my bags, and then I go for a walk. Yeah. So this was not actually in my itinerary, the Mother of Georgia. So how do I actually discover this tourist attraction in a way is, okay, so the Mother of Georgia is right on top the hill, and most people or most tourists would go to the Mother of Georgia by taking a cable car going up. All right. But that is the usual way, and that is by right the standard way. But for me, I actually just wander around and then I walk into the botanical garden of Georgia. And then I happen to walk through the waterfall. And after I cross the waterfall, I happen to walk up the mountains, I mean a hill slope. And that is where I chance upon this Mother of Georgia statue right at the base. Yeah. So I
Oh, so
actually take a different route from the other tourists. Yeah.
so you were just exploring and then you came upon it.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's the
Yes,
most
because I
wonderful
could
way to
see this Mother of
discover.
Georgia from my hotel. Yeah. So I just walked towards that direction, hoping that I can able to reach it somehow or other. And yep, and I did it by walking through the gardens and botanicals and stuff like that. Mm.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this is your day one of exploring Tbilisi.
This is still my day one. If I show you this picture, it's still my day one. This is at the hilltop. It's not far from the Mother of Georgia. So I am actually overlooking the town of Tbilisi. So
Yeah.
this is what it is as the capital. So you can see Tbilisi, they are actually surrounded by majestic or high mountains in the area surrounding it. So it
Hmm.
has a cool climate also in the summer because of this. Yeah, because it's high up. It's probably like 1,000 meters above sea level for this capital. So it's still quite cooling as well, be it summertime.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
similarly, like you mentioned harsh winters, so that height must impact the cool, really cool weather that it has during winters.
Yes. In fact, during winter, I could see the winter picture because when they sell the postcards at the tourist shops, the pictures of the winter looks very majestic, equally nice as well. It's a blanket of white snow. And then the churches will be having all the snows around it, decorated with snows. Yeah. So it was a magical feeling as well. I could see from the picture.
So what was your
And
next
then my
after?
next picture, after that, is day two because I done my own exploration in the city itself. So on day two, I actually signed up for the land tours because Georgia, the capital itself is nice, but actually the gist of, or maybe the beauty of Georgia is actually outside the capital, right? So it lies outside the capital, it's at the countryside. So I signed for day trips. So I have 5 days in Georgia. I uses about 3 days. I went on a 1 day trip out of Tbilisi and then I come back at night. So this
Okay.
is on my second day when I go on a 1 day trip out to outside of the Tbilisi. So I signed up for this package called the to explore Gori and Javari. So this is like the countryside.
Okay, sorry, could you repeat the names? The countryside.
Gori. Yeah, it's actually spelled as Gori, Gori, and Javari, Jvari.
Okay. So these are the
Yeah,
countryside of
these are the
Tbilisi.
countrysides for suitable for a one-day trip outside Tbilisi. Probably you would use about 10 to 13 hours if you do a one-day trip. Yeah. So usually the tours will depart at 9 a.m. and then you'll arrive back into Tbilisi after your day trip, probably around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m.
Oh, so you spend the whole day away?
Parking the whole day outside. Yeah. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
outskirts. So these are some of the pictures that were taken as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so lovely. That's a church
So,
beside the
so this
river.
is a church. So in fact, Georgia, I mean, I will put it as that Georgia is full of churches in a way. And if you are visiting Georgia, just be mentally prepared that you will see a lot of church. So when I sign up for the day trips, right, so easy on just a day trip alone, I can see up to 4 to 5 churches a day. Yeah. So sometimes my tour members, the people who travels with me as well, they are asking me, what is this church? And they forget the church name as well. So I think there's a lot of churches. So just, but each churches has their own history and it's very beautiful for each churches, depending on how you want to actually photograph it. But they have all very beautiful angles for you to photograph the churches. Yeah.
Yeah, the landscape is really picturesque.
Yeah, exactly. And this is taken in the end of spring. So you could see the end of spring is actually there were a lot of rains that were actually so when I was in Georgia, there were heavy rains. So because it's coming to the end of spring, so I think the glacier or the snow has melted, and that contribute to a lot of rain as well in the region in the end of May. Mm.
Yeah,
But
and
it's
it's
a good
looking
thing as well
freshly
because
green.
with rains, right, it comes with water. Water actually makes the surrounding looks even prettier with all the trees being back to summer, being having all the having all the greeneries as well.
Yeah, it's looking really vibrant in your pictures. The
Yes.
greens are just shining through.
Yes, that's right. And as I mentioned, that was my second day. So my third day, I went for another day excursion. And this day excursion actually brings me to very interesting. It brings me to the birthplace of Stanley. If you know Stanley, actually, I mean, he's the so-called he actually founded Soviet Union, right? So the Stanley hometown is actually interestingly located in Georgia, not in Russia. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is the picture of him. He actually unified Soviet Union, right? To the just to put it into the perspective, he is the most popular figure in Russia. I mean, even right now. So he's a politician, he's the longest serving leader of the Soviet Union. So there's many amazing stories and artifacts about his life. This picture actually shows the group listening to the many fascinating stories from the guides in the museum. All right. So they talk about him. They shared stories, and you could see some pictures. And the fact that why is this museum located in Georgia but not in Russia, even though he's the founder of the Russia or the Soviet Union, is because his hometown, he was actually born and raised up in the hometown, and his hometown is located in Georgia right now. Yeah. So
Oh,
that's why they have this museum. Yeah.
oh, it's quite a politically significant site for Russia
Yes.
that's located outside of
Yes.
the
Yes. But the
current country.
interesting fact is that when I converse with my guides from Georgia or the local Georgians people, of course, as I mentioned just now, they are not that prone into Russia. They want to be part of EU. That is one thing. So in a way, how do I put that? Like what the guide has told me is that they are happy, or they're happy that Stanley is actually born in Georgia in a way, but they're not proud of him being the hometown in Georgia, because of the things that, maybe what this dictator has done in the past, stuff like that. Yeah. But the thing is that the most interesting part that I would say is that most Georgians do not want to be associated with Russia. But yet, when we were in the museum, the Georgian museum guides have to talk about good stuff about about the leader, or stuff about the museum and good things about the leader itself. Yeah. And the museum guide actually told us that just listen to their stories, but they might have different versions from the Georgians. So you have to listen to the different versions of the stories as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Stalin is definitely like a contested figure in history. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to see that, like demarcation basically, because the hometown is located in a different country. So how do they approach this political leader who
Yeah,
they want to
interesting.
dissociate with or keep a distance from?
Exactly, exactly. And if you see this picture of mine right here now, this picture is actually the Stalin train. This is the train that he uses. Exactly. This is the actual train that he sleeps in as well when he travels around the Soviet Union in the past. So we could able to board the train and see what is the surrounding inside the surroundings. And it's actually a bulletproof train, right? So he does not believe in flying. He only travels using the train. So it's very interesting with all the different stories that we heard. All right. And this picture is actually this exact building itself. This house is where he is born. So they
Oh,
actually preserve this house itself. So they build a shelter over it, and that's where the museum behind it is born as well because of this house. Yeah, this is where he spent his childhood as a young boy in Soviet Union last time. Mhm.
yeah. It looks like a such a modest house, and yeah, to
Yeah, in
imagine
fact,
like a person being born here, like going on to
correct.
do
Correct. You're right. You're right. Because
big
he was
things.
a modest person. He came from a humble background. His father and mother was not like the top ranking. They were not involved in the government circle. So he was actually very come from humble family, and he worked his way up. So you could hear the stories of him trying to establish himself as the leader of Soviet Union and what he does and all the fascinating stories. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow, it's quite fascinating.
exactly.
So this was your day
Yep.
three trip.
This is my day three pictures. Yes.
What was
Mm-hmm.
your stop after this?
After that, because I decided to go back to the town of Tbilisi, so I didn't plan any more day trips. But usually people would go to, if you go Georgia during the winter season, actually Georgia is known for skiing as well. So they ski a lot. They do a lot of winter sports. So you could go to the mountains, stuff like that. But probably easily 4 to 5 hours drive away from Tbilisi if you are interested to do that. Yeah. So
What
I
are
actually
the
went back to Tbilisi on my last 2 days because because I travel in the region, I wanted to just chill out as well. So I visited cafes and stuff right in the downtown.
Yeah, so you decided to enjoy the city then because you'd already
Yes.
ventured out in the countryside, taken all these tours. So what did day 4 and 5 look then?
Day 4 and day 5, practically I was in the city. So I didn't really prepare the photos right here, but it was more of me chilling out, relaxing. And I actually attended a party. So because as I told you, they're celebrating their National Day. So I was invited to a Georgian party. So I went for the party as well. Yeah.
Oh wow. And you made friends during your travels and then
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's fun. And then day 5 was just winding up the trip and
Mm,
heading back
yes. And
for
heading back to the
your
airport and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
destination.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, your itinerary was also quite fascinating. Uh, Maybe you can now tell us a bit about the places that you stayed at. Were you in one same accommodation for the 5 days that you were there in Georgia, or did
Mm-hmm.
you switch?
Okay, so what I did was I based myself in the capital Tbilisi, And as I mentioned, if you want, can do just a day trip. So every day I will go back to my accommodation back in Tbilisi. So I have only one accommodation in Georgia itself. All right.
Okay.
So let me show you a picture. All right. So what I did was, because I travel on a budget, shoestring budget as well, right? So I wanted to explore, how maybe a two-star hotel or how an Airbnb looks like back in Georgia. So I actually did my bookings on the usual hotel website like booking.com or maybe even Agoda. So this was one of the, I mean, this is the hotel that I took from Agoda, from the booking platform of Agoda. So it was like a Airbnb apartment, I would say. So this is the exterior, how it looks like from the outside. I actually stays inside. You can see the blue building as well. So that was where I skips in. All right. So it was actually because that in Georgia they have quite a number of hotels. Being the capital itself, in Tbilisi, they got five-star hotels, which is very beautiful. All right, of course. They have four-star, but not many. And then the rest of it are usually like homestays or like apartment, just like what I have stayed in as well. It is on the side, is on a cheaper range, I would say. It's probably around USD $15 per night, 1 5, and you can have the room to yourself. All right. So if you're asking me how does the room looks like, basically you can see it's like for two-person to stay in a room. And this is how it looks like just for USD $15 one night. So this is my room, and then they have, how do I put it? So they have a shared toilet and shared kitchen facilities.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is how it looks like from the outs. I mean, when you enter, and then this is like the common alley area where everyone can just put their things there, and they have fridge for you. I mean, to put your stuff and things like that. So this is how it looks like. So just like a mini house. It's actually a house, but it actually converted into a guest house with different rooms for people to stay. Yeah.
It looked like a really quite nice residential sort of neighborhood, or
Yeah.
that sort of
Yeah,
vibe it
it
gives.
is. It is. So it's like a residential neighborhood, but the thing is, just right outside my hotel, I have a four-star hotel already called Ibis Star Hotel. Yeah. So
Oh,
that's not far, and it's not far away from the tourist area. Probably I just need to walk 10 minutes. This is where I stay, and I walk 10 minutes, I will reach the Freedom Square where I shared just now. That's the main shopping, or that's the main street of Tbilisi. So it's not that far from all the tourist spots. So it looks like a residential area. So I actually got in touch with the local homeowner, because when I check in, she has to give me the keys to enter my room, right? So she actually told me, oh, this is her house, but she converted to guest rooms, and she stays just right above me. So if I need anything, I just easily let her know, stuff like that. Yeah. And then she has other houses nearby, and she actually stays there as well. She was just telling me and sharing with me. So she was just sharing me that this used to be her younger son room as well, this and that. So I said, oh, okay, interesting. So they actually convert their own house into a guest house for people to stay. Yeah.
the benefit of that is, of course, that the amenities must have been all quite stacked up in your favor. Everything would have been available.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe if you see from this picture, this is the kitchen, and they provide washing machine as well. So it's like more like I'm staying in someone's house rather than in a hotel feel. So it's very cozy. It's very clean as well. So I was being told that most of the service apartments, or maybe just the apartments, are very clean in terms of the cleanliness for the foreign tourists to stay in. So this is how it looks like. Yeah.
Okay. So you were able to stay on a budget, but still pretty close to the touristy area. So that's quite great.
Mm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
About
Yeah.
your meals, were they available at the
Okay.
guest house?
So when it comes to meals, the one that I booked, of course, for this guest homestay, they do not provide meals at all. So what
Okay.
I do is, when I have my own breakfast. I will usually go to the night before, I will go to the supermarket. There's a lot of supermarkets over there. So I could just buy a bread, easily buy a bread, a jam, kind of thing. Then I would toast my own bread. So they have an oven, they have a toaster in the service apartment. So I could easily use that as well. So it's pretty easy. if you're talking about having breakfast before I embark on my day trips out, all right? So this is what I do. And of course, when it comes to breakfast, it's not included. Lunch, dinner, I will have my own when I'm on the day trip.
In the neighborhood, were there options to eat as well, or did you have to venture out far? You were not that far from the main city area, so you would have cafes or restaurants nearby.
A lot, plentiful. So just 5 minutes out. I mean, not maybe not even 5 minutes, just 3 minutes out of of the place that I stay in. There were a lot of cafes. There are a lot of, and in fact, all the cafes were mostly foreign tourists. All right. So I would say it's like and they have an old town just right there. So the old town serve a lot of restaurants, have a lot of restaurants and a lot of Georgian food. Yeah. So it's very easy accessible. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty convenient, yeah. Even though like meals were not included, you could just hop over to a street nearby.
Yes, exactly.
So, how was your overall stay? Did you like it over here? Like, if you were to travel to Georgia again, would you stay in the same service apartment?
Okay. So it depends on, of course, when it comes to hotel, it depends on the budget. But because I wanted to like sort of challenge myself to see to see how low can I go. So I choose this apartment style of budget for my accommodation, which I think, in my opinion, is good and is acceptable. Of course, they do have 3, 4 star hotel that has the usual hotel facilities. But if you were to ask me, I would say yes, I would choose this hotel or this kind of apartment style again if I'm back to Georgia. The reason is because it is clean, it is good as well, and it's very kind of it's very flexible in a way. It's flexible in a way that because I wanted to check out on my last day and I was telling the house owner that hey, my flight is at 9 p.m. So can I check out maybe 6 p.m. instead of the usual like 11 a.m. And then the house owner looked at her own booking list and she said, okay, your room, there's no one booking after you left for that day. So she allows me free of charge to just stay in my room until 6 p.m. and then I can just go out from there. So it's kind of very flexible kind of thing. So I think in terms of that, I think this is good as well. Yeah.
Based on the cost that it came at, I think it paid off and turned out to be good. And it's pretty great that the owner was generous as well. I think it's quite a cozy and nice setup for definitely solo travelers or couples traveling. Maybe families will look at a more luxurious stay, but I think this is pretty suitable for.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you're talking about a group or a family, I would suggest 4 star hotel because there is quite a number on the road that I saw the 4 star hotels. Yeah. So it's easily available, I would say, in terms of accommodations.
Uh, right, yeah. I think we've covered more or less your trip to Tbilisi. Is there anything else that you would like to highlight?
For Tbilisi, I think it's more or less about it. But maybe I'll just to share some, some travel tips, maybe. Yeah, for people who are first timers into Tbilisi.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. We'd love to get some tips.
Okay, so I have actually written some useful tips when you travel to Georgia itself. It can be found on my website, theguidetravel.com. But other than that, right? So what I want to say is like maybe the first tip that I would like to give is that remember to actually do the day tours. It's very easy. In fact, right, easily the day tours like like via Get Your Guide or Viator. These are some mobile apps that I usually use to look for the tours, all right, which you can get at a good discounted price as well, all right. But sometimes if you want to do a further reduction of your cost when you want to travel, right, you want to be on the budget, you can also, once you arrive in these cities like in Tbilisi, you can look for the local tour operator. And in this sense, I mean the kind of freelance tour operator where they act as a driver guide. So they will drive you and they will do the guiding in the car. All right. So this is a picture that I took that they have plenty of this kind of freelance driver guide who is asking for business kind of thing. So they can actually introduce you to places out of the Tbilisi, out of the capital, and they tell, oh, this is a day trip, and you can actually negotiate the price with them. All right. So yes, no doubt maybe if you need to, so it really depends on what you want. If you are on a budget shoestring, I would say yes, you can do this, but make sure you know what you want or where you want to go before you speak to this freelance tour guide or maybe drivers, because and then you also have to negotiate the price. You have to make sure that you know, because they'll usually quote you a very high price, and you have to negotiate down. So if you ask me, I would say probably you have to negotiate down from their first price, probably 40% discount of what they offer to you. All right. And yeah, so basically this is what one can do when you're over there if you want. All right.
That's a nice tip.
And yes,
Tours that you took, were these via the freelance tour guides, the tour
yes.
operator? Oh, and they're completely safe. I mean, it was
Yes, so you're
done
talking
up.
about private group trips like that, they are completely safe. It's like a 1-to-1 or maybe 2 to 3 person. You sit in your car, it is safe because they have a lot of these kind of guys around. Yeah.
Ah,
But
okay.
if you want a bigger tour, if you feel, because these drivers, they are not really, how to say, they are not really a licensed tour guide. So they cannot give so much commentary or the history behind if you visit let's say the churches or the museums, right? So if you want a better service, you want a better commentary from the guides, it is best you visit a licensed tour guide or a licensed tour operator where they arrange the day trips for you. Yeah. So if you want to go to my blog, you could see I would actually recommend like a particular tour operator that people can use when they're in Georgia. All right. So they are actually so they handle large groups. So I was traveling with them as well for some days, and they handles up to like 40 person. So they have one big bus, and 40 of us go on a day trip with them on a big bus. Mm.
Ah, okay. So it's like a proper tour that they
Yeah,
run
that
for
is
you.
a proper tour if you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. That's a pretty handy tip to have, though. Yeah. How to book your tours or which way to go, depending upon your preferences.
Perhaps another tip that maybe I would like to share with everyone is that the tours, if you go to region like Azerbaijan, Armenia, and even Georgia itself, the tours are usually conducted in Russian and English. This is because there's a lot of Russian tourists visiting these areas as well. So there's a lot of Russian tourists, so you have to conduct the tours in Russian. All right. And for the rest who don't speak Russian, they will speak in English, right? So don't be alarmed if you see your tour guide have to speak in Russian, then English, right? So there'll be a Russian commentary and an English commentary and vice versa on the bus when the tour guides give the commentary. Mm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Good to be aware of that. Yeah, but it seems quite logical, yes, that Russians would want to visit, especially because, yeah, Stalin's house is there. So,
Yeah,
that-
oh yeah, that's right. They
yeah.
have a history in Russia. Yeah. And the other thing is that I realized that, actually some of us we actually wanted to tip the driver and the guide after the tour, but it seems like they do not really accept the tipping as well. I mean, tipping is not like a must or maybe I would say there's no tipping culture in a way in Georgia. All right. Of course, tipping is highly appreciated, but it is not a must. But what they want actually from the tour guides or the driver that they share with us, that they hope that they hope that we as the travelers, as a guest with them, we can share our reviews on the website, on the Google website about their tour and services. I think they would much appreciate if we can do that rather than tips them at times as well. Mm.
Oh, so they're more keen that you help them find more business rather than
All right, they want us to spread the word, at Georgia
yeah.
and about the day tours and what they do. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
All right. So this is some of the pictures that I took when I was in Tbilisi. So another tip that maybe I like to give is that the best time to go for a tourist attraction is actually in the early part of the day. So when I took this picture, it was probably around 9 a.m. Yeah, it was 9 a.m. early in the morning. This is actually in the old town where in Tbilisi you have this clock, this very unique looking clock tower, they call it. So on every hour, it will have the bell will sound off, and then if you see on the top part of the picture, there will be actually a door that will comes out of the door itself and not the bell to actually signify the timing of the day as well, right? So example, 9 a.m. they'll knock 9 times of the bell. Yeah. So this is a very popular tourist spot, but when I was there early in the morning, there wasn't any people. It was just me, and there was probably about 2 or 3 tourists around, but that's it, right? So I think, but if you come in the afternoon, there'll be tons of tourists flooding the streets. So it will be very hard to take a picture, stuff like that. Yeah. So maybe,
Yeah.
it's good to go in the early in the morning when people are still maybe in the hotel, skipping, stuff like that, and you can take very nice picture. Mm.
Early riser gets the prize, or at least the good pictures.
Early bird get the best prize, that's right. And in fact, right, let me share one more picture. So this is actually a boat tour that I took in Tbilisi, where they have this river right downtown, and then I can take this boat tour. So if you see there, if you see, you put per person, you put 60 local currency in Tbilisi, but I managed to bargain down to just how much I managed to bargain down to half the price. Yeah. So I managed to just give them like 30 or 20, and then they will take me on a boat trip. And because it was
Okay.
early in the morning, there wasn't any people, there wasn't any tourists, and they say, okay, you just go on this boat trip, you'll go on a solo boat trip, they say. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. It happens here in India as well. If you're the, first person to land up at a business establishment, you can get a really good
That
deal.
special price. Because you're the
Yeah.
first customers. Okay.
Because they want to start off the day on a good note. So
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like Thailand as well, because in the past, Thailand does that. When you go for night markets in Thailand, you also have to bargain. But if you're the first customer, they'll give you whatever price that you bargain for. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty handy tip to have for all sorts of travels, I guess.
exactly. Maybe the next thing I want to show, perhaps is the food. Yeah,
Ah, yeah.
because Georgian cuisine is one of the more popular things, or the food that they are very proud of as well, which I think is very nice. And if you do some research, you see, everyone is talking about Georgian food. Georgian food is one of the best in the region. All right. Indeed, it is. Before I go, I was looking at all the very nice food. I was telling myself, okay, I will, so maybe I'll eat this. And when I was there, I managed to get all the food that I crave for, that I actually was looking at. Yeah. So this is part of the Georgian food. And Georgian also have wine. They are very known for their wine as well. So Georgian wine is very nice as well. So in this picture, you could see this is their most recognizable dishes in Georgia. Pardon me, I may not know how to pronounce, because it's very difficult to pronounce
Yeah,
their
the
food,
spelling
right?
of
But
I
you could
got
see in the picture, right? This is how it is spelled out in the picture. Yeah.
it.
So this is like a bread. So this bread, they actually make the dough out of it, and then they put cheese, eggs, right? And then you have to mix it around, and then you do it, and then you bake it. And the eggs is actually a raw egg. So once they bake finish, they'll crack a raw egg on top, and then they'll serve it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So this
Looks
is super
interesting.
nice, and you can find this in most of the Georgian cuisine or restaurants in anywhere in Georgia. Mm.
Is this
And another picture, this is the traditional Georgian dumplings, right? So it tastes equally good as well. Inside they have meat, all right? So what kind of meat? So they will usually eat beef or mutton. That is the meat that is inside the dumplings, all right? So it's very juicy. You have a bite, and then you can see all the juices flows out after that. Yeah. So they actually sells this as well in most part of the Georgian restaurants. Yes, that's it. So this is
Oh,
more of the popular dishes. These are the top two dishes that they have.
okay. How did you find them? Which one did you like more?
No, I like both. So it's very
Okay.
hard to choose. Yeah. And the best part of this dumpling is, so what they do is not only meat, they got vegetables. So you're vegetarian, they will cater to your vegetarian style as well. If you are a seafood lover, they will actually have like some seafood fillings inside as well. So it depends on what you want. So they are
Oh,
able to customize for you. Yeah.
that's nice. Yeah. So, was there anything during this trip that you missed out on in Tbilisi that you wanted to visit but you couldn't?
I would say the mountains. Maybe, I mean, although I did visit some of the mountains, but there were many, many much nicer. Or what I heard from the locals is that the mountains in the northern region of Georgia is better. But perhaps that requires me to have an overnight stay because it's quite far from Tbilisi itself. So perhaps the next time, if I were to return back to Georgia, I would go for the mountains in the north of Georgia.
Oh. Are you planning a next trip as well?
Not in the near future, I would say, but I
Okay.
would not discount it because Georgia is a very beautiful country. So if you love nature, Georgia is the place to go, definitely.
If you were to say like one thing that you like the best about Georgia or Tbilisi, what would it be?
The people. I love the
Ah,
people over there. Why? Because I went on this trip, I went to visit three countries like Azerbaijan and Armenia, followed by Georgia as well. But out of these countries, don't get me wrong, the others are also very friendly, but I felt that Georgians people are the most friendly among them, and they are very welcoming. They actually invite you to parties, they actually want you to have a good time. And one thing is that the Georgians, to me, I think they know how to do business as well. So what do I mean is that, they have very good tourist attraction and they have services, they have all kinds of services, accommodations and anything, and they are, very open to your suggestion, and they're able to cater to what you want in order to give you the best experience. So it's the people that makes up, it's the so it's the people that miss, and that's the difference to me among the other countries. Yeah.
and you were also lucky to go at a time when they were in high spirits and
Yeah, that's
celebrating.
right. That's right.
So,
Yeah.
so that was a really good like a serendipity that happened to you. That yeah, but that's really good to know. Yeah, the people can, of course, like the people you find on your trips can make or break it if you have a bad experience.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really good to know that Georgians are so welcome. Last question: what's your next trip planned for this year?
My next destination will be in New Zealand. I'm going
Oh,
there in 2 months' time. Yep. Yep.
oh,
So I will say
okay.
New Zealand because I love New Zealand as well. So I'm telling people that, hey, I am actually going back home in a way because I love the lifestyle there. Yep.
Oh, how many times have you been there before?
Twice, and this is my third time going back to New Zealand. But
Oh,
this
wow.
time I'm just exploring the South Island. There's North and South, but just for me this time I love the South Island more than the North Island, so I'll be going back to the South Island. Because the past two times that I went back, I didn't get to try the adventure activities like skydiving, because
Oh,
of the weather. So hopefully I pray to God this time that can allows me to do the skydiving activities.
I hope you get as lucky as you did in Georgia.
Yes.
Yeah. That's all for our session today. Thank you so much for joining, Jaren. I've loved listening to you, and your travel and your trip to Georgia was wonderful. So it's inspired me, definitely. I hope our viewers also find it helpful, and all the tips that you shared, I hope they help first-time travelers to plan their trips better. So thank you so much for that.
And thank you so much for having me here.